good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I'm April Oakeyard, and today, we're going to work on another frame from my comic, Beautiful Mosaic of Losers. As usual, the base colors are already down, and we just need to shade this depressed puddle of a character in. To begin, we are going to go to our airbrush tools, and select the soft airbrush tool. For this type of shading, I prefer to use a high stabilization. It gives you better control over the airbrush strokes. But I will be changing to a lower stabilization for smaller areas. Celeste is in bed, being as depressed as she ever was about Miles. And waiting by the phone like that? For a man? Girl. Anyway, the point is that the shading would go according to where the light in her room is. Since it's coming from a ceiling, of course we are shading the side of her body that is closest to the bed. Now, I will say that I prefer softer shadows when I draw, so I do use the blur function under the blend tools quite often for this. The shadows on the fingers look jacked up to me, so I use the soft eraser to clean the fingers up a bit before blurring the shadows once more. Let me speed through this shading a little. I just go with where I think the shadows would fall on her body and face. As always, I hate shading the damn nose. Hair, head, shoulders, knees, and, well, Celeste has toes, but they aren't here right now. Those little piggies went to the market. Time to work on the shadows of her shirt. Now, I'm moving on to shade her jammy pants. What do you personally call them? Is it jammies, pajamas, PJs, or something else? Leave your comment below and let me know. Next, we'll be shading the blanket. We need to consider where the edge of the mattress is to determine the best places for the shadows. And same logic applies when figuring out the shadows for the fitted sheet of the bed. I did the tighter shading for the blanket and pillow, and Celeste, on a different layer for the purpose of separate blurring. Otherwise, it would just look like a shadowy blob. Now, to add shadows to the cordless phone in Celeste's hand. I'm just gonna speed through this right quick. For those who haven't seen my shiny hair tutorial or wanted a little more detail on the steps to take, I'll break them down now. Add a new layer that is on top of the base color of the hair, but below the outline. Use the auto select tool to select just the hair. This will keep our light reflections within the defined area. I personally always use an ellipse to create the uppermost light reflection on the hair. From there, I just draw in other areas where light might hit the hair. Next, I'm using the fingertip brush in the blend tools to drag the light reflection to give it a more realistic look. Now, I'll show you a way to handle cleanup in the areas where the airbrush tool went outside the lines. It's quick, it's easy, and it's free. After I blur the airbrushed layer a bit, I turn the layer opacity way down. Under the fill tools, make sure to select the fill tool for refer other layers. Instead of a color, you would select the transparency, which is the option that has white and gray squares. Click anywhere outside the lines of the intended shape to make the excess shade disappear. And we're going to do the same thing for all these other shading layers. Blur, lower the opacity, and use the fill tool with transparency instead of a color. After that, just turn the opacity back up to 100, or whatever your desired opacity is for that layer. I do recommend inspecting your work and checking around the area to make sure the fill tool didn't somehow miss any of the color you wanted to get rid of. Facial features and other small areas require a smaller, less dense, and less intense blur than larger areas like arms and legs, so be sure to adjust these things accordingly. Similarly, furniture and large surfaces require a larger blur tool with a stronger intensity. And actually, a lot of artists keep their shadows sharp, choosing not to blur them. kind of like what I did with my logo. But as for my comic and my art, in general, I prefer to have the blurry shadows. I don't know why I always forget to draw the damn eyebrows. Like, for real. There we go. Now at least this heifer will have some expression to her brow. Here is the finished product. I believe this is another one that will be in episode 4. Not sure exactly when that chapter will be released on Webtoon, but definitely within the next few months. As always, thank you for joining me today. Why not like, comment, and subscribe? Let me know what other Clip Studio tutorials you'd like to see. Follow me at any or all of the socials pictured. Love you guys and see you in a new one soon.